Hey everybody, I'm at Scarlet Lane Brewing here in McCordsville, Indiana for the second annual Scarelastic Book Fair. You know, it's a really vibrant time to be a fan of horror fiction, and right inside there are over 20 authors and publishers. So let's get inside and meet some. We are going to spend time with a bunch of authors, including, I gotta watch where I'm going. We got to spend time with a bunch of authors, including Daniel Kraus, McLeod Chapman, Todd Keisling, Tim Waggoner, and we're going to spend a little time with C.V. Hunt from Grindhouse Press. It's going to be awesome. Hey, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you love great horror and you want this kind of content delivered on the regular. Now, let's go meet some folks. What would you say you're most well known for, do you think?
I think until the past year, it was probably The Shape of Water.
Okay.
Which I co-conceived with Guillermo del Toro, and there was the movie and the book sort of came out simultaneously. I think this past year I had a book come out called Whale Fall, which was, I think, has probably superseded that, at least in my own kind of small literary circle. That's probably what I'm known for at the moment, and might end up being what I'm known for a while.
So then let's talk about that. What is Whale Fall all about?
It's really a survival story about a diver who is swallowed alive by a sperm whale and has 1 hour of air that he's got in his tank left to try to get out of the whale. So it's sort of a real-time, very much ticking clock survival thriller that I wrote in close concert with whale scientists and diving experts. So it's all scientifically accurate. So everything that happens in the book as he tries to navigate the whale's stomachs and the throat and tries everything he knows to get out could all happen.
And so what would you say, one of the things I'm always interested in is like, how would you try to find an audience for it? What kind of people do you think would be most attracted to the subject matter?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I definitely don't think about that kind of stuff when I'm writing, you know? I take a lot of weird left turns in my books, so I'm sure I lose readers all the time because I think the smart money is you sort of have a brand and you sort of do that. And I haven't done that at all. I've constantly been changing. So I think with Whale Fall, as I said earlier, no one really knows how to classify it exactly. And usually that's a negative because no one knows where to put it in a bookstore. And you end up sort of falling through the cracks. Every once in a while, in the case of Whale Fall, it ends up helping. It really broadens the audience. And so I have all these different kinds of people who have gravitated to it, who wouldn't have read my stuff before. So it is one of the few books, if not the only book of mine, that it really feels like has really appealed to just sort of everyone in a way. There's something in it for everyone.
You're wearing a Night of the Living Dead hat. Folks may or may not know that you had some involvement with George Romero. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Romero essentially left behind a couple unfinished novels. The first one was called The Living Dead, which was kind of his kind of final word on his zombie cycles. And shortly after he died, his wife and manager got in touch with me to finish that book, which was this epic zombie novel. And then after I finished that, in his archive, we discovered a second book called Pay the Piper that he had nothing to do with zombies, but another sort of very cool horror novel that was about half finished. So that's coming out this year.
What do you think you're best known for?
Well, I don't even know if I'm known for anything at this point, but I'm being signaled that it would probably be a book called Ghost Eaters. I wrote a book called Ghost Eaters, and it's all about a haunted drug. Like, imagine you could pop a pill and see the dead, see ghosts all around.
Oh wow! So where'd the idea come from? What's the impetus for that one?
I will admit that, and I'm open about this, but like I had a friend who passed away due to his addiction, and this was years and years and years ago, and I was that friend who drew a line and wasn't there to support him at a point where he needed help, and I always regretted it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where just having that weight and remorse, and it's a terrible segue, but I was developing a film project in Hollywood, like a cheese ball, Freddy Krueger. This is when It Follows came out, which is an amazing movie. And they were like, "Oh, we want to do an It Follows, but with like a slasher It Follows." And like someone in the meeting said the two words "haunted drug," and those two words just like stuck in my head for years. So then, like, these two things in my life, a crappy horror movie that never got made and the loss of a friend, suddenly, like, they kind of coalesced into this book.
I'm always interested. So we talk on the show a lot about horror films, and I'm always interested in trying to find a way to get people a gateway into certain kinds of work. So pick a book and then tell me why someone or what kind of a person might like it, or how might they find their way into a piece of yours.
One of mine?
Yeah.
I wrote this book called The Remaking, and The Remaking is such a PG-13. It's a very adorable horror novel. It's all about a urban legend ghost story that gets told and retold every 20, 25 years as the mode of storytelling evolves. So like, first part is a 1950s campfire story. Mm-hmm. Part 2 is a 70s drive-in schlocky horror movie. Part 3 is, the sleek Scream style remake, So it's just like doing, like, watching a ghost story evolve as our ways of telling stories evolves. And I think that's a good kind of gateway, because a lot of the horror happens just kind of in the corner of your eye, and it's not as
All right, very nice. Last thing, what is it that draws you to the genre? What is it that draws you to horror in particular?
I mean, I grew up with it. There was that one babysitter who probably put Halloween in way too early. And
like it's the quintessential origin story.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, someone just exposes you to something at an age where you're not ready to receive it, but that, like, soft trauma just does something to your and you're just like, I'm just chasing that high, man. Like, I just like wanting to get that scared feeling again.
Scarlet Lane Brewing calls itself the official beer of horror, so obviously, immediately, it's a company that grabs the attention of Discover the Horror. Now, they've got all sorts of horror-themed beers on tap and in the can, and they specialize in stouts and Northwest IPAs and pale ales. But there's something for everyone who loves craft beer at Scarlet Lane. There's even a Scarelastic Mango IPA that I found delicious. And bonus, there's a barbecue place called Trax that shares space at the McCordsville location where the event was held that we enjoyed a lot. And super bonus, this is where they shoot the current iteration of Nightmare Theater, the Indianapolis show hosted by Sammy Terry, the longest continuously running TV horror host in history.
For behind every bush and tree, hiding in the haven-hued shadows, a fiendish maniac is waiting just for you.
Being here with Sammy Terry. It's very cool. Okay, enough eating, drinking, and gazing. Let's go talk to some more authors. What would you say that you are probably best known for?
I'm best known for my novel Devil's Creek and my novella Scanlines.
I don't want to fanboy too much here, but I've read Devil's Creek and I'm a huge fan, so I'm going to fanboy a little bit. Tell us about Devil's Creek.
Devil's Creek is a small town cosmic horror novel set in rural Kentucky, based on my hometown. It's about the survivors of a death cult, and in typical small town horror fashion, they grow up, some of them leave, some of them stay, and when the protagonist returns home to settle his late grandmother's affairs, things start to awaken in the depths of the earth, and there's a whole lot more to it, but that's the gist.
There is a whole lot more to it, and I would say to anyone out there, and this is to the horror community, so I think you'll all recognize this feeling, but if you grew up in a place where you felt like a weirdo, if you felt like you were sort of being seen all the time, I feel like Devil's Creek is a book that's definitely for you, because it's that feeling laid over this kind of cosmic horror mythos that you've built. Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment.
And are you okay at this point talking about the fact that you're revisiting the universe of Devil's Creek?
Oh yeah, totally. It's called the Southland Mythos. It's something that I've been exploring since before Devil's Creek, actually, just in short fiction and a couple of novellas. Scanlines exist in that universe. The Final Reconciliation also does. Appalachia is very central to this mythos for reasons I can't disclose, because I got plans.
Right.
There's the book I'm working on, which is a direct follow-up to Devil's Creek that's tentatively titled Revelation Road. I pitched it to my agent as the movie Vanishing Point from 1970 or 71 meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Brilliant. What would you say you're best known for?
Probably the novelization of Halloween Kills.
So that was how I got to know you, and I was, I'm a big fan of the film. I don't know much about movie novelization, so I started out kind of suspicious about the whole concept, but I gotta say I super enjoyed the book. I fell in love with it, and I think it's because I noticed that you were able to, A, give the shape a voice, an internal voice, and B, you were able to give us a new perspective on certain things that happened that we were familiar with in the film. So what was it like for you to take on the challenge of writing this iconic character in this iconic universe?
It was a lot. I mean, I saw the original movie when it came out in the theaters, watched all of them. It's one of my favorite franchises. And, when they approached me to do the gig, I was like, this is awesome. It's a dream come true. Oh my God.
Right.
Somebody when I announced it, somebody on Facebook said, this is sacred ground. And that was like a really good way to describe it. So, but, I've written books for Supernatural and other media properties. So I try my best not to think too much about the millions of people that might be judging, and just kind of get on with it and just try to do my best to inhabit the story. And like you were saying, try to imagine what it's like to be the Shape, the other characters. Try to find like an emotional core in some of the things. Like they have the one patient from the mental hospital that people mistake for Michael Myers that they did not develop in any way in the movie. But it was in the script. One of the things I found from doing novelizations is all the stuff people complain about not being in movies, like all the character stuff, it's all there. They cut it out when they make the movie. There's no room for it. But the screenwriters put it in.
Yeah.
So doing a novelization is awesome because I can bring that back. I can give that to readers who did not get to see it in the theater.
That was one of the things I really noticed was that Escape Mental Patient got so much more, and you really got a feeling for that character. And the other thing I noticed was I had this epiphany watching the movie about the sort of the mimetics, the meme of evil dies tonight and where it comes from. Because in the movie, it's just a little sign that's on the bar, but you got into that and kind of talked about that in the book as well. So it really gave. First of all, it vindicated something that I thought that I understood about the film. I was like, yep, I was right. And then. But the other thing was it just really developed some of those characters and those situations in ways that I was really excited to read. But would you say well, this is a loaded question. Okay. Do you like writing those kinds of things more, or do you prefer to work in your own universes more?
Both, because they exercise different muscles. Like everybody else, I mean, I've been a child of the media since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, novelizations and tie-ins, back before even there was, video cassettes, it was a way that we could revisit or get new adventures of things like Star Trek that had been off the air, no movies yet for a long time. So, I mean, it was natural for me to really enjoy those things. But I also enjoy making my own stuff up, too.
Tell me about your publishing company.
Okay, so Grindhouse Press was established in 2010 by Anderson Prunty and then I.C.B. Hunt. Took it over in 2017. We kind of specialize in like extreme horror, splatterpunk, anything that's kind of offbeat, weird, more on the extreme side. So.
You've explained what it's like, or what the sort of genres that you cover are, but can you tell me about a couple, 2 or 3, 4 books that kind of best exemplify the stuff that you put out?
Sure. We just reprinted Brian Smith's The Killing Kind. It's more like your extreme horror, and then also another book of his just last year that was called Dead in House that a lot of people enjoy. Christopher Triana's book, Full Brutal, and Gone to See the Rivermen are really popular. People know those ones.
And so if folks don't know, you're not just the owner of the company, you're also a writer yourself.
Yes.
And so tell us a bit about the books that you write.
I'm most known for like Ritualistic Human Sacrifice, which is an extreme horror, or Halloween Fiend, which is not so extreme, but yeah, in the horror genre. My most recent thing that I put out solo is a collection of short stories called The Next Time You See Me, I'll Probably Be Dead. But
So you said that you're best known for Ritualistic Human Sacrifice. That's one I've read. Tell people a little bit more about what that one is.
So that one is about a couple. The husband, it's kind of like a vindictive story with the husband, and the wife, he's not really happy in the situation, and the wife gets pregnant, but they hadn't discussed it, gone through it. He didn't really want a child, so he decides in order to get back at her, he's going to buy a house on the middle of nowhere and kind of force her away from her family and friends into this house, and then kind of weird things start happening when they go to this new little town. So
Not what folks might call the feel-good book of the century necessarily.
no, definitely not.
This was an absolute blast. If you get a chance, come down to the Scarelastic Book Festival the next time that they do it here in McCordsville, Indiana. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. We really appreciate it.